Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we are continuing with my read aloud of the first Twilight book. I just finished recording chapter 20, which is called Impatience. Now moving on to chapter 21, which is called Phone Call. And this is really where things are going to start picking up and shit is about to get real. I'm telling you. If you thought that things were starting to get real during the hunt and goodbyes, shit is gonna get real in this chapter. I'm telling you. This is what's gonna lead to the fight. Oh my god. We're so damn close. We're so close to the end. Like, my impatience is, the anticipation is killing me. So, before we begin the reading, I just have to say that I have to make the disclaimer as usual that I don't own any of the text being presented here. I'm not claiming to present any of it as my own. This is simply a read aloud for entertainment purposes, and it's all in fair use, and Twilight is owned by Stephenie Meyer. So we're going to continue today with Twilight by Stephenie Meyer, chapter 21, Phone Call. I could feel it was too early again when I woke, and I knew I was getting the schedule of my days and nights slowly reversed. I lay in my bed and listened to the quiet voices of Alice and Jasper in the other room. That they were loud enough for me to hear it all was strange. I rolled till my feet touched the floor and then staggered to the living room. The clock on the TV said it was just after 2 in the morning. Alice and Jasper were sitting together on the sofa, Alice sketching again while Jasper looked over her shoulder. They didn't look up when I entered, too engrossed in Alice's work. I crept to Jasper's side to peek. "Did you see something more?" I asked him quietly. "Yes, something's brought him back to the room with the VCR, but it's light now." I watched as Alice drew a square room with dark beams across its low ceiling. The walls were paneled in wood, a little too dark, out of date. The floor had a dark carpet with a pattern in it. There was a large window against the south wall, and an opening through the west wall led to the living room. One side of that entrance was stone, a large tan stone fireplace that was open to both rooms. The focus of the room from this perspective, the TV and VCR, balanced on a two small wooden stand, were in the southwest corner of the room. An aged sectional sofa curved around in front of the TV, a round coffee table in front of it. "The phone goes there," I whispered, pointing. 2 pairs of eternal eyes stared at me. "That's my mother's house." Alice was already off the couch, phone in hand, dialing. I stared at the precise rendering of my mother's family room. Uncharacteristically, Jasper stood closer to me. He lightly touched his hand to my shoulder, and the physical contact seemed to make his calming influence stronger. The panic stayed dull, unfocused. Alice's lips were trembling with the speed of her words, the low buzzing impossible to decipher. I couldn't concentrate. "Bella?" Alice said. I looked at her numbly. "Bella, Edward is coming to get you. He and Emmett and Carlisle are going to take you somewhere to hide you for a while. Edward is coming?" The words were like a life vest, holding my head above the flood. "Yes, he's catching the first flight out of Seattle. We'll meet him at the airport, and you'll leave with him. But my mother! He came here for my mother, Alice!" Despite Jasper, the hysteria bubbled up in my voice. "Jasper and I will stay till she's safe. I can't win, Alice. You can't guard everyone I know forever. Don't you see what he's doing? He's not tracking me at all. He'll find someone. He'll hurt someone I love. Alice, I can't." "Well, what? We'll catch him, Bella," she assured me. "And what if you get hurt, Alice? Do you think that's okay with me? Do you think it's only my human family he can hurt with me?" Alice looked meaningfully at Jasper. A deep, heavy fog of lethargy washed over me, and my eyes closed without my permission. My mind struggled against the fog, realizing what was happening. I forced my eyes open and stood up, stepping away from Jasper's hand. "I don't want to go back to sleep," I snapped. I walked to my room and shut the door, slammed it really, so I could be free to go to pieces privately. This time Alice didn't follow me. For 3.5 hours I stared at the wall, curled in a ball rocking. My mind went around in circles, trying to come up with some way out of this nightmare. There was no way. There was no escape, no reprieve. I could see only one possible end looming darkly in my future. The only question was how many other people would be hurt before I reached it. The only solace, the only hope I had left was knowing that I would see Edward soon. Maybe if I could just see his face again, I would also be able to see the solution that eluded me now. When the phone rang, I returned to the front room, a little ashamed of my behavior. I hoped I hadn't offended either of them, that they would know how grateful I was for the sacrifices they were making on my account. Alice was talking as rapidly as ever, but what caught my attention was that for the first time Jasper was not in the room. I looked at the clock. It was 5:30 in the morning. "They're just boarding their plane," Alice told me. "They'll land at 9:45. Just a few more hours to keep breathing until he was here. Where's Jasper?" "He went to check out." "You aren't staying here?" "No, we're relocating closer to your mother's house." My stomach twisted uneasily at her words, but the phone rang again, distracting me. She looked surprised, but I was already walking forward, reaching hopefully for the phone. "Hello?" Alice asked. No, she's right here." She held the phone out to me. "Your mother," she mouthed. "Hello? Hello? Bella? Bella?" It was my mother's voice in the familiar tone I had heard 1,000 times in my childhood. Anytime I'd gotten too close to the edge of the sidewalk or strayed out of her sight in a crowded place, it was the sound of panic. I sighed. I'd been expecting this, though I'd tried to make my message as unalarming as possible without lessening the urgency of it. "Calm down, Mom," I said in my most soothing voice, walking slowly away from Alice. I wasn't sure if I could lie as convincingly with her eyes on me. "Everything is fine, okay? Just give me a minute and I'll explain everything, I promise." I paused, surprised that she hadn't interrupted me yet. "Mom?" "Be very careful not to say anything until I tell you to." The voice I heard now was as unfamiliar as it was unexpected. It was a man's tenor voice, a very pleasant, generic voice, the kind of voice that you heard in the background of luxury car commercials. He spoke very quickly. "Now, I don't need to hurt your mother, so please do exactly as I say and she'll be fine." He paused for a minute while I listened in mute horror. "That's very good," he congratulated. "Now repeat after me, and do try to sound natural. Please say, 'No, Mom, stay where you are.'" "No, Mom, stay where you are." My voice was barely more than a whisper. "I can see this is going to be difficult." The voice was amused, still light and friendly. "Why don't you walk into another room now so your face doesn't ruin everything? There's no reason for your mother to suffer. And as you're walking away, please say, 'Mom, please listen to me.' Say it now. 'Mom, please listen to me,'" my voice pleaded. I walked very slowly to the bedroom, feeling Alice's worried stare on my back. I shut the door behind me, trying to think clearly through the terror that gripped my brain. "There. Are you alone?" "There now. Are you alone? Just answer yes or no." "Yes, but they can still hear you, I'm sure." "Yes." "All right, then," the agreeable voice continued. "Say, 'Mom, trust me.'" "Mom, trust me." This worked out rather better than I expected. I was prepared to wait, but your mother arrived ahead of schedule. It's easier this way, isn't it? Less suspense, less anxiety for you. I waited. "Now I want you to listen very carefully. I'm going to need you to get away from your friends. Do you think you can do that? Answer yes or no." "No." "I'm sorry to hear that. I was hoping you would be a little more creative than that. Do you think that you could get away from them if your mother's life depended on it? Answer yes or no." Somehow there had to be a way. I remembered that we were going to the airport, Sky Harbor International Airport, crowded, confusingly laid out. "Yes, that's better. I'm sure it won't be easy, but if I get the slightest hint that you have any company, well, that would be very bad for your mother," the friendly voice promised. "You must know enough about us by now to realize how quickly I would know if you tried to bring anyone along with you, and how little time I would need to deal with your mother if that was the case. Do you understand? Answer yes or no." "Yes." My voice broke. "Very good, Bella. Now this is what you have to do. I want you to go to your mother's house. Next to the phone there will be a number. Call it, and I'll tell you where to go from there." I already knew where I would go, and where this would end, but I would follow his instructions exactly. Can you do that? Answer yes or no. "Yes." "Before noon, please, Bella. I haven't got all day," he said politely. "Where's Phil?" I asked tersely. "Ah, be careful now, Bella. Wait until I speak to you. Wait until I ask you to speak, please. I waited. It's important now that you don't make your friends suspicious when you go back to them. Tell them that your mother called and that you talked her out of coming home for the time being. Now repeat after me. Thank you, Mom. Say it now. Thank you, Mom. The tears were coming. I tried to fight them back. Say, I love you, Mom. I'll see you soon. Say it now. I love you, Mom. My voice was thick. I'll see you soon. I promised. Goodbye, Bella. I look forward to seeing you again. He hung up. I held the phone to my ear. My joints were frozen with terror. I couldn't unbend my fingers to drop it. I knew I had to think, but my head was filled with the sound of my mother's panic. Seconds ticked by while I fought for control. Slowly, my thoughts started to break past that brick wall of pain. To plan. For I had no choices now but one, to go to the mirrored room and die. I had no guarantees, nothing to keep my mother alive. I could only hope that James would be satisfied with winning the game, that beating Edward would be enough. Despair gripped me. There was no way to bargain, nothing I could offer or withhold that could influence him. But I still had no choice. I had to try. I pushed the terror back as well as I could. My decision was made. It did no good to waste time agonizing over the outcome. I had to think clearly because Alice and Jasper were waiting for me, and evading them was absolutely essential and absolutely impossible. I was suddenly grateful that Jasper was gone. If he had been here to feel my anguish in the last 5 minutes, how could I have kept them from being suspicious? I choked back the dread, the anxiety, tried to stifle it. I couldn't afford it now. I didn't know when he would return. I concentrated on my escape. I had to hope that my familiarity with the airport would turn the odds in my favor. Somehow I had to keep Alice away. I knew Alice was in the other room waiting for me, curious, but I had to deal with one more thing in private, before Jasper was back. I had to accept that I wouldn't see Edward again, not even one last glimpse of his face to carry with me to the mirror room. I was going to hurt him, and I couldn't say goodbye. I let the waves of torture wash over me, have their way for a time. Then I pushed them back too and went to face Alice. The only expression I could manage was a dull, dead look. I saw her alarm and I didn't wait for her to ask. I had just one script and I'd never manage improvisation now. My mom was worried. She wanted to come home, but it's okay. I convinced her to stay away. My voice was lifeless. We'll make sure she's fine, Bella. Don't worry. I turned away. I couldn't let her see my face. My eye fell on a blank page of the hotel stationery at the desk. I went to it slowly, a plan forming. There was an envelope there, too. That was good. Alice, I said slowly, without turning, keeping my voice level. If I write a letter for my mother, would you give it to her? Leave it at the house, I mean. Sure, Bella. Her voice was careful. She could see me coming apart at the seams. I had to keep my emotions under better control. I went into the bedroom again and knelt next to the little bedside table to write. Edward, I wrote. My hand was shaking. The letters were hardly legible. I love you. I am so sorry. He asked my mom and I have to try. I know it might not work. I am so very, very sorry. Don't be angry with Alice and Jasper. If I get away from them, it will be a miracle. Tell them thank you for me. Alice especially, please. And please don't come after him. It's what he wants, I think. I can't bear it if anyone has to be hurt because of me, especially you. Please, this is the only thing I can ask you now. For me. I love you. Forgive me. Bella. I folded the letter carefully and sealed it in the envelope. Eventually he would find it. I only hoped he would understand and listen to me just this once. And then I carefully sealed away my heart. Okay. Yup. It's coming. It's happening. Here we go. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. It's starting to pick up. Oh, damn. It's like we have hide and seek next. And then, oh my god. Wait a minute. Oh my god. Wait. The next chapter is where she meets with the damn hunter. Oh, shit. Man. Okay. This is coming way sooner than I clearly remembered it. Hide and seek is the chapter where she meets with James in the ballet studio. Okay. This is getting good. Oh man, I can't put this book down. This is the problem because I should be doing homework. I should be worrying about schoolwork. there's a million things I should be doing, right? But I can't stop reading this damn book to save my freaking life. Stephenie Meyer, I curse you for writing a story that is so freaking addictive, okay? Like, the way how she writes everything out, the way how she pieces her stories, oh, she just makes wanting to finish it so tempting. It is ridiculous. Like, she is consistently so good with her pacing, it's not even funny. But this chapter was obviously, man, like, this is just the beginning. So we know that James had gone to Bella's mother's house. We know that. Or possibly that was Alice seeing a potential decision that Bella would make to go to Renee's house. Like, I'm trying to decide what the vision of Renee's house was in Alice's mind. Was it James there getting what he's gonna need, or was it her subconsciously somehow knowing that Bella would eventually make a decision to go there? Like, it's one or the other, but I'm leaning more towards it being like her somehow sensing that Bella would eventually make the decision to go back to Renee's house in Phoenix. So that's more so what I'm leaning towards. Because the decision is going to revolve obviously around her mother's safety. That was ultimately the decision that Alice ended up seeing. But Bella, obviously, she's going to outsmart Alice. We all know that. Like, she is going to just do it, like, on impulse, on a whim, not even, like, planning it. Like, she's gonna do it completely unconsciously, not even, like, deciding it, really. She has to make it look like a snap decision, because then Alice can't see it. Because the way for Alice's visions to work, it has to be a consciously planned decision that somebody is going to physically make. If it's a snap decision, if it's something that takes her by surprise, she won't catch it right away. So that's how Alice's visions work. They're very, very, very subjective with how they work, is that she can only see conscious decisions that someone will physically make. She can't see snap decisions where somebody decides last minute, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. It doesn't work like that. And obviously, there's a part of her visions that's working to, like, figure out, okay, Bella is gonna eventually make a decision to go to Renee's house. I think that's what it might be. I can't be entirely sure. Or it could be James gathering what he needs, because it is mentioned that James watched Bella and Renee's, like, home videos and everything too. Like, this, like, takes me back to a time where we had crappy square-shaped TVs and VCR tapes. I saw plenty of those, and the landline when I was a kid. Like, we used the damn landline, okay? I was born in 1997. I am young enough to remember landlines and Blockbuster and VCR tapes, crappy square-shaped TVs, cellular phones that could barely send a text message. Like, I remember all of these things, okay? I am a 90s child all the way, and I'm young enough to remember all of that. So, yeah, this makes me nostalgic for wanting to, like, go back in time to a time when things just felt simpler. Like, I know that probably at the time, like, things weren't simple at all back then. Like, we had the freaking Iraq war and everything that was, like, with that. But the reason why it seems so much simpler to me is because I couldn't remember any of that for shit. Okay, I wasn't paying attention to any of that. My world was consumed with the simple things in life, like Barney and Friends, and freaking, the Wiggles, and Dragon Tales. Oh man, I'm just listing off everything from my childhood that I remember so damn clearly. Wow. These books really do have me nostalgic to want to go back to the early 2000s when things were normal, like, compared to how they are now. Like, go back, like, 20 odd years, back when everything was, like, normal for me considerably, when I was just, like, in my toddler years, and things just felt simpler. Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm gonna remember, like, all the little, like, hints and subtleties in this book, all the little references, like VCR tapes. This generation of kids, they're not gonna know what we had to go through, plugging in VCR tapes into the VCR and rewinding the tape to go back and watch something from the beginning. But funny how reading Twilight makes me very nostalgic for VCR tapes and crappy TVs, like back when we didn't have high definition anything. Oh man, I miss it. I miss the early 2000s. Things were so much easier back then when I was a kid, where I only had to worry about a few things in life, right? But yeah, anyway, got sidetracked. So, oh man. But the phone call in this case, this is really where things are starting to pick up, because obviously we know it was James calling her, because who else would freaking call her? Like, who else would freaking call her and say, oh, by the way, I have your mom here? I'm like, oh my god, James! Like, the lengths that this guy will go in order to hunt his prey, he is so freaking sick and so sadistic. He is easily one of the best written villains in literature that I have seen in, like, wow. Like, I thought Lord Voldemort was freaking evil. This guy, he's freaking sick. Like, Lord Voldemort, you know, no, crazy, like, pureblood supremacist or whatever in the world of Harry Potter, right? Right? Like, I'm trying to think, okay, okay, if the Volturi is Lord Voldemort in this case, then James is freaking Fenrir Greyback. That's pretty much the only analogy that I can possibly think of, okay? Because it's like, no, or the Volturi are more so the Ministry of Magic. I don't know. But, oh man, why am I bringing in Harry Potter analogies? Why? Because Rob Pattinson was Cedric and then Edward immediately afterward? I can't really give a rhyme or reason as to why I'm bringing in Harry Potter analogies right now. But I can say that James, in this book, he's definitely the Fenrir Greyback of this universe, in the sense that he is sadistic, he's sick, he's twisted, he's obsessed with hunting his prey, and he does not like to lose. He hates to lose, actually, and he makes everything a competition for himself. He makes it a game. He sees it as him hunting something that's like so out of reach, but it just makes him more determined than ever to get it. And of course, we know that Bella is one of the few to escape him alive, and we're gonna see that in this book. But even so, like, man, James with the damn phone call, like, that was just so unsettling to read, because all you hear is Renee's, like, panicked voice, like, her screaming Bella's name over and over again, like, Bella, Bella, where are you, Bella, Bella, because Bella, like, has, like, a sixth sense about her mom, in that if she knew that her mom would, like, panic, Nick, you know what I mean? Especially given the way how Bella, like, called her on her phone saying, you know, when you get back home, call me immediately, call me at this number, da 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 da. She left a voice message, like, on Renee's phone at home, you know what I mean? So of course, if Renee were to answer that, she would be screaming, panicking, harebrained as ever, like, so freaking worried about her that she can't think of anything else. Like, that's how Renee's mind works, and that she's constantly filled with, like, all these little worries over her daughter, to a point where it's like, wow, like, her mom she may not be much of a mom emotionally, but the thing is that, like, at the end of the day, Renee, you know, she's scatterbrained and all, but she's so, like, loving, and the problem is that she's so freaking innocent and childlike that, of course, you know, she would panic just at the idea of Bella being in any danger at all whatsoever, and that being the thing that would convince her to tell her, you know, leave Forks right now, because you saw how she was after Tyler's van nearly crushed Bella, right? Like, Bella was infuriated that Charlie even called Renee to begin with, because she knows how her mom is. She knows that her mom gets hysterical over every little freaking thing and worries over every little freaking thing, and of course that's what led into Bella developing sort of OCD, I guess you could say, in the sense that she, like, has this sixth sense about her mom and worries about her all the time. And that's what James was able to decipher based off of, you know, him, like, going to their house. Like, the fact that he snuck into their freaking house just to, like, find out more about her and shit like that. Like, I'm sorry, but even Edward, you know, Edward Cullen is far more of a gentleman than James would ever be in a million frigging years. I'm just saying that much. So, oh man. Like, I can hardly even wrap my mind around this chapter because so much to unpack, and it feels like way too much is just coming all at once, especially with this damn phone call from James. It's like, come on, Edward. Just, like, tear this guy's head off, please. Please. Like, this is me, like, sitting here and wanting nothing more than to see, like, Edward, Jasper, Emmett ripping this guy to shreds because, man, like, James, you can't help it. You just freaking hate his guts. And Stephenie Meyer, she's damn good at writing sick, sadistic, twisted villains that you just hate, like, reading, when they're on the page. You just absolutely freaking hate them. So ultimately, this was an incredible chapter. And chapter 22, Hide and Seek, oh, we're getting to the good stuff. We're getting to the good stuff. Oh, man, off to the races. Here we go. Like, let's go. All right. So if you guys happen to be brand new to the channel, you can subscribe. And if you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And also be sure to leave comments down below as well and let me know what your thoughts are on this series. And I will be picking up again with chapter 22, Hide and Seek. So God bless, happy viewing, and have a nice day, everyone.